and welcome to A1R Psychic Radio. My name is Gail Moffat, and if you would like to find me, you can find me on gailmoffat.com, and you can also find me on Gail Moffat, International British Spiritual Medium and Teacher on Facebook. So either way, I'm contactable, which is great, and it's always good to talk to you. Now, I thought about what I would like to talk to you this evening, and it's a subject that comes up a lot, that people regularly ask, and so I think I'm going to cover it tonight. And the subject that I'm talking about is reincarnation. And, reincarnation is difficult to prove. There's no sort of proof. I mean, we can have, even when we have that hypnotherapy, which takes us down into hypnosis, which takes us down into a space where we connect on a previous life basis, it's still difficult to prove on occasions. Although people have come back with some wonderful stories about, they talk about the stories and give names, and then they can be checked out. So I guess, yes, they can be checked out. But where I get my proof from it is from spirits. And sometimes when I'm working with spirits and I'm doing it, particularly when I'm doing a mediumship reading, or a psychic reading, my guide might come in and say, the two of you have spent a life together before. And I hear those words. So I know that this happens. I absolutely know that reincarnation exists. And, we could have perhaps been, a man in one life and a woman in another life. And that's something that's quite bizarre, I think. We could also perhaps be somebody's mother in one life and a daughter in another, or a son in another. And so there's all those sort of variables that we can take place. But how Spirit has described it to me is what they do is it's like the whole of us is like a big cauliflower. And that cauliflower is like a floret. The little one of the little flowers will come away and arrive on the earth plane and live a life. But the rest of us will still be in the spirit world. And so there's more to us than meets the eye. And that's an expression which actually has more meaning to it, I suppose. So yes, there's more to us than meets the eye. We have lived many lives. And Spirit always talk about the fact that we're here to learn our lessons. We come here to grow. And when you think about it, I just don't think that it's possible to learn everything in one lifetime. So yes, so that's reincarnation. But I understand. So let's go to some callers now. So I understand we have Donnell in, I don't know how to pronounce that, Boise, Idaho. So are you there, Donnell?
Yes, I'm here. Yes.
Oh, hello. How are you this evening?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. And how can I help you? I'm a medium, and I'm also a psychic, so I can connect to loved ones and also look at aspects of your life.
Well, I've always had like spirits stuff come and talk to me, and lately I've dealt with paralysis and having visions, but my paralysis has happened when I'm awake now and not sleeping.
So initially it was when you were sleeping?
Yeah, and then this last time it happened a couple weeks ago, I was laying in bed and I was awake, and my room changed into another room, and then I saw a man, and then I couldn't move for about 30 minutes.
Wow. So what I would like to say is when we go to bed, we go into like a daydreamy state, and that daydreamy state is the actual position that we need to sort of connect to spirit. Now, it can be quite common for spirit to be, if they get very close to you, sometimes it's difficult to move. And I think that's probably what happens there, that there's that, and that's why it's difficult to move. And that often happens when you're slipping into like a trance-like state yourself. And so I think that's probably what's happened. How did you feel about the experience?
Mostly it just kind of scared me. I mostly just got scared just of not being able to move or talk or anything. And then, because it happened again later that night, I went to bed and it happened twice again. Except for the second time, I woke up and my husband was sleeping next to me, and there was somebody like sitting over him the second time. And then it happened. I woke up and I went back to sleep, and I had the paralysis, but then this time it felt like I had blankets suffocating me and I couldn't breathe.
Well, it's
and so I've never had that happen, anything close to that, and so I'm not sure what's going on or like how to deal with it.
Well, how to deal with it is obviously it's an uncomfortable situation for you, and in your mind you need to, presumably you're still able to have the thoughts in your mind.
Yeah.
Well, in your thoughts, you need to be quite clear that their behaviour is unacceptable and to step back.
Okay.
And also, as at the same time or next to those thoughts, ask the angels to come forward and protect you.
Okay.
I would ask Archangel Michael to come in.
Okay, I know when it happened the second time, I started to pray, and I was talking to God and everything, and then it finally, after I did that for about a minute, that's when I was finally able to move.
Sorry,
I know that does help.
So you found that helpful to pray? Well, I think, and you know, one of the prayers that you could recite is the Lord's Prayer. Are you? Do you know the word? Do you remember the words to the Lord's Prayer?
No.
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily has to be the Lord's Prayer per se, but praying to God and to help, and also to Archangel Michael.
Okay. I'll look up that prayer and I'll learn it, and I'll start doing that when it happens again.
Yeah. But also to use these words that your presence is not wanted, it is unacceptable, and I request that you step back.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be exactly those words, but something of that nature, because obviously what they're doing is they're coming to you in a close way that's stopping you from moving, and it's making you feel uncomfortable, and that's not acceptable.
Okay. Now, I've been told that somebody said that it could be that I have something attached to me, and if that's the case, how do I go about cleansing and getting rid of that?
Well, with attachments, I tend to err on the side of that. Well, all of us have a what's known as a doorkeeper, a gatekeeper, and so there is that protection whilst we're from our gatekeepers. And to have an attachment, I'm not convinced about that idea of attachment. But to be honest with you, I haven't had proof either way. So I could be wrong in that statement, and I wouldn't want to say that it categorically isn't true, and then find out later on that it is. But it's an area of spirituality that I'm not experienced in. I work very closely with my guides, and I know that I always have that protection around me. And I've never had, the only time I've had a difficult time with a spirit was when I went into a premises, a building where there was a resident spirit that was behaving in a bad way. And that was a bit of a battle on my hands. But I got there. But I know that, and spirit, when I was going through that experience, spirit was saying to me that, first of all, you need to stay strong because your strength is their weakness. And so if there's a negative spirit around you. And second of all is the prayer. And third of all is asking Archangel Michael and also talking to them in a strong, almost like a dictatorial manner, almost like, how dare you come close to me and do this to me, get away, move away, and so on and so forth.
Okay, that makes sense. I can do that.
Because you will have spirit around you, protecting you, and asking them to come forward is the best thing to do in those circumstances.
Okay. That helps me a lot.
Yeah. And it may well be that, I mean, have you thought about taking this ability further and opening up, or is it something that you wouldn't want to do?
I have, and I've wanted to. I just I've never had anybody knowledge on how to do it safely. It would work too.
Well, the important thing is that you find somebody that is, an experienced medium, and to sit in circle, or you live in Detroit. No, where is it? Idaho. I'm just trying to think, because there are some British mediums that do come over and do teaching, but I can't think of any that come to your area. But it's about getting that right teaching, and one of the ways you could go about it is contact a local spiritualist church.
Okay.
And there is quite a few spiritualist churches up and down the country in America.
Okay, I'll look into that and see if I can find anything close to me.
Okay, well, thank you for calling in, Donnell, and I hope it all goes well for you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, and if you need me in any way, find me on Facebook. My name's Gail Moffat, and I'm international British spiritual medium and teacher, and any questions I'll answer for you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Right, let's go to the next caller. We have Sandra in Detroit, Michigan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I've been to Detroit.
Yes.
Many years ago.
Oh, okay. Good.
I think there was a Renaissance Centre right in the middle, isn't there? That amazing build. Yeah, I remember that.
The Renaissance, yeah.
So I'm a medium, and I'm also a psychic, so I can look at aspects of your life or connect to a loved one in the spirit world. Is there a particular way that you'd like me to work, and where would you like me to focus?
I would like to
do two things. Actually, one, I'd like to see if you can connect with my dad. And two, I would like to know about what you see for my love life. Those are the two questions.
Okay.
If there's anything for my dad.
Right. Well, I've got a gentleman that's standing by the side of me. So I'll start by bringing in some evidence, and we'll see if it is your father that's come forward. But I know I have got a gentleman that's connected to you that's come forward. Now, yes, he's saying dad. Now,
Okay.
have you been in a serious relationship before that he would have known about?
Yes.
Because he's going straight to that relationship with me and saying how it's almost like that wasn't a good relationship, and he's sort of almost criticising him as a person, like he's not the right person for you.
Right.
Would that make sense to you?
Yes.
Because I feel that he didn't like him.
Mhm.
Did you know that about your father?
Well, my father, he passed in July, and I met him in September, so he has probably been watching, I'm sure, because my mother's been distraught about the whole thing.
Okay.
Bad relationship.
But you would understand that if your dad was here, he was the sort of person that he wouldn't have liked.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, because he's saying he just didn't like him at all. And he said it was very painful to stand back and watch it all unfold, and sort of almost have his hands tied behind his back and like not being able to do anything, because he said that he caused you and your family a lot of pain and hurt. And he's saying that you shed a lot of tears as a result of this relationship.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
And I feel that he was perhaps abusive on some level. Does that make sense to you?
Very much.
And your father is saying that he'd like to guide you to the right person this time.
Yeah.
If my father said that to me, I don't know if I'd be too impressed, but I'm sure my father's very different to yours. Yeah, so I know that he's looking to help you in find that sort of person. And he's saying he feels like a very sort of loving man, somebody that was a good father, and he's saying to me that he always wants to do the best by the family, and I feel that he would have worked hard as well. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
And he's showing me a sewing machine. Why would he be showing me? Do you know why he's showing me a sewing machine?
My mom sewed.
Your mum sews, okay? Because he's telling me this is a memory link. He remembers this, and because I feel that he would have bought the sewing machine for your mum.
Mhm.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
And I feel that this was a birthday present. It was certainly a present at some point, but it feels like a birthday present. And he's also showing me that another memory he has that's quite strong is he remembers holding the back of a bike. And I feel that he was played a role in teaching you how to ride a bike?
Mhm.
Do you remember that?
A long time ago. I don't remember, but probably.
Yeah. But these are fond memories that he has, and he's just bringing them forward. There's somebody who was very fussy with food in your family, and he's talking about, I don't know whether that's you or one of your siblings, extremely fussy with food.
Me.
Right. It's almost like the food would get dropped on the floor and hidden under the table, or, you know, you just wouldn't eat it. He'd refuse to eat it, and it was such a challenge that he remembers of getting you to eat food.
Mhm.
And he's remembering that, and he's making me take my pulse. Sort of. So I know that there's an issue with pulse, and I'm suspecting that's with him.
Mhm.
And I feel like there's some that he's referring to a cardiovascular issue that he had.
Yeah.
Because he's making me take my pulse, and I feel that the pulse was, sometimes it was high and sometimes it was low. It was erratic.
Mhm.
It's like he has an erratic heartbeat or something like that. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
And I feel, and he's saying to me that he was taking medication for this.
Yes.
He didn't like taking the pills, though.
No.
No, he didn't. He didn't like it. And I feel that he sometimes was a bit naughty and didn't take them.
Yes. Mhm.
And I feel that your mum would get a bit cross with him, because she would, oh, for goodness sake, you know, you've got to, you know, she was always getting cross to trying to make him take his pills, but he didn't want to. And there was this ongoing little battle that was always going on. And did you live near, close to where your parents live?
Yeah. Mhm.
Because I feel like it's sort of in the same vicinity, sort of almost like down the road and round the corner or something like that. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
He loved that. He loved that, because I feel that there were times when he would pop in, but also he'd do little odd jobs for you, wouldn't he?
He would what?
Do little odd jobs.
Yeah.
Do a job.
Mhm.
He's such a sweetheart, isn't he? Very sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's did he have I can't quite, he's making me look at his eyes, and I can't quite work out whether they're grey or blue, because it's flickering between the two. So it's probably a sort of like a grey-blue colour. Does that make sense to you?
Of his eyes?
Yeah.
He had dark eyes. My mom had the gray-blue eyes.
Okay. Oh, that's he's looking at your mum's eyes then. Is your mum still alive?
Yes.
I thought she was. And he's talking about your mum and saying, because I feel like I regularly want to do my hair and have it done. And I feel like it's sort of like a sort of a curly, sort of like a set or something like that. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
And he used to drive her to the hairdressers, and he'd wait around for her and pick her up and take her home.
Mhm.
He's very sweet man. And
Can
he
you
also
get anything like of a name of who I should be with my loved person? Does he tell you anything? I need help.
Are there some people around you then, or?
Yeah.
Well, is there? If you give me the names, I'll focus in on them and tell you about each one.
Will or Dave?
Dave or?
Will.
Well.
Will. Like
Oh, Will.
William.
Sorry, yeah. I feel that Dave is more keen on you than Will is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
And I feel that Dave is he's a good person, but I feel that with Will, he gets distracted and he's, and I feel that he's got distracted with other things in his life. But I think that Dave is, he's the sort of person that wants a committed relationship. He wants to go the whole way. And he's very interested. And I think that as we stand today, I feel like he's a good person as well. As we stand today, I think you'd stand more of a chance of having a successful relationship with Dave.
Yeah, I do too.
That makes sense to you then, does it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Sandra, we've come to the end of the show. So thank you very much for ringing in, and
thank you too.
And I hope that all helps, and I hope you enjoyed that connection with your dad.
Yeah, so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, lovely talking to you, Sandra. Find me on Facebook if you want to speak to me, Gail Moffat, and also gailmoffat.com. So thank you. So anyone, if you would like to find me, again, you can find me on Facebook, or you can find me through my website, gailmoffat.com, or Gail Moffat, International British Spiritual Medium and Teacher. And it's been lovely speaking to you all this evening. And what's so precious, I think, is the mediumship, to be able to connect with a loved one in the spirit world.